What up, world? This your boy Nakata, the author of Heart on Break, the number one self-help book for single men and single fathers. Go ahead and cop a copy of that on Amazon or leave a review. Just wanted, I know that I talk a lot about men being focused on their purpose and being focused on their purpose on a really intense level, because it's really those moments of intensity and singular focus on your life's purpose that really helps you move things from one gear to the next. It's very, very important to have those moments. And the best time for those moments, of course, are when you are single and by yourself. But many men have had to really work towards their life's purpose intensely while in relationships. It just makes it a lot more complicated. So once you've gone through that process of refinement to where your life's purpose now leads in your life, and you're now ready to really start negotiating for relationships. And I say negotiating for relationships because in reality, once you've gotten to this level of your life where your purpose has provided a foundation for you, and the upside of your purpose is way more than the downsides. If you do what you're supposed to do, if you stay on your life's path and stay on your purpose. So therefore, when you're in that position and you're literally offering that to a woman in a relationship, your definiteness of purpose, it translates into inspiration, motivation, and various other things for the woman who will be involved with you in your life at that point. So it's no reason to ever take that for granted or think it's just a light thing. Once you do that work, and then when you are ready to be in relationships, you need to approach the relationships knowing that you have done this work. It can't be haphazard. It can't just be something that happens. Sometimes it does and it happens magically, but you're moving into relationships or even starting to court women seriously to fill the role that you need for a woman in your life. It's serious business. And if men are not really prepared to approach in with a strategy that works to really fill the void that you have for a woman in your life, then you might just get anything. Because today's woman is a mixture of anything. You don't know what you're going to get. It's like a box of chocolate, as Forrest Gump would say. And you don't really want to take those risks after you have placed yourself in a certain position. You know exactly what's going to help. And it's usually one or two things, but not much more than that. So if you find yourself in a situation where you are accepting or negotiating with somebody to perhaps shift or change into something that you need, that's a lot of pressure that you're putting on them, as well as logically from the logical perspective, increasing your chances of failure, because you have to look at it from a perspective that it's not easy to change, and most people don't change. And I'm not saying it's doom and gloom, but you've got to look at the perceptions and the mindsets that people have, and particularly today's women. Like, for you to put the pressure of her rising to the occasion, or becoming someone she's never been, but she says that she desires to be, like, there's a high chance of that situation failing for you, especially if she's not really designed to be this type of woman. And a lot of the times when men are in this position and they're just ready to settle down and they're ready to have that steady companionship, they're ready to have that relationship, that partnership, ready to have children, or if you already have children, someone who can be loving to your children. Those things are very important to a man, especially when you've gotten to this point where you've worked very, very, very hard to be. It's very, very important that you approach the courting process very seriously, with a great strategy, knowing what you want, being willing to self-disclose, and really getting all the information from the woman that you possibly can throughout a span of time. Because you're really not going to get it all at first, and you really don't want to get it all at first initially, because you want for there to be some space for attraction to do its own thing as well too. But the process is to get to know her on deeper levels, such as her parents and her upbringing and her community and her education, and and her traumas and her strengths and her weaknesses. These things are very important to understand. Those factors tell you more about who she's going to be to you than what she says. And men really just have to begin to embrace courting from this perspective. Like, it's no need to get swooped up in the fairy tale or the fantasy, the love or the sex, even though I know it can be easy to get swooped up in the sex. We've all been there. But the point is, if you're looking for a certain kind of partnership that serves a particular purpose, a void that you have for a woman in your life, you have to be vigilant about getting the right person to join you on that path, especially, like I said, if you've done the work to be in a position to be choosing as such. If you're bringing a foundation, if you're bringing so much of you, and you yourself is a great asset for her. If that's what you're bringing to the table, no doubt you want somebody who's complementary to what you're bringing. You get what I'm saying? And who brings a certain value with them as well too. And a value that you can feel, and a value that works well with what you're looking for. Because a lot of men, they think that they're just gonna get what they get when they go on dates with women. No, like you gotta go out there like you're looking for an employee, like your company looking for an employee. Yeah, you're having fun at the date and trying to smile and look good, but you're about business because you're trying to figure out if is this person the right fit for my life. Now, if a man's not really on his life's purpose, he's not doing it with that emphasis. He's not thinking about, well, I'm going to be doing this and that in a few years, and if she doesn't, like a man with his purpose, he's thinking like that. Okay, so you don't. Oh, okay. Oh, is that so? Oh. You make decisions based on that, based on facts. If you don't adapt this kind of mindset when going into the courting game, especially after you've done all this work, you're going to lose value real fast and end up in a situation that feels real good because you're good, but you never get what you're really looking for, apparently because you don't feel you're worth it. And that's not a good place to be after a break. It's not a good place to be for a man who's following his life's purpose. You've got to be confident. I do understand that confidence comes and goes. It's like motivation sometimes, but you got to have a foundation of self-esteem that reinforces your value, and particularly the value that you bring to your partners. You've got to know what that's worth. Because if you just go get anybody who doesn't really understand the value that you're bringing to them, they're not really going to appreciate it. And you are going to be in a position where you're not getting what you're looking for in reciprocity. See, a lot of men who are in a certain position, they just want to give. Yeah, that's cool and that's nice. But what are you receiving? This person's got to give as well too. And the more you understand the details about her life, her upbringing, her story, her father, her parents, her mother, the various relationships that have had an impact on her, then you're going to get a better idea of how she'll be able to react to what you're looking for and what you need from her based on where she's coming from. You can't just base it on her looks. You can't just base it on sex. You can't just base it on talk. You got to base it on the real metrics that affect who this person is and potentially who they're becoming. Now, of course, if they've been through a lot, it doesn't mean that they're done. It doesn't mean that they're hopeless. No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean. It just means that depending on where you're coming from and how well that pairs with her, where she's coming from, is going to be a lot of work to create a certain kind of harmony that's functional, because functionality is what we're looking for. You know what I'm saying? The whole point of finding your purpose, puts you in a level of functionality that really increases your value, increases your happiness, puts direction in your life. And when you bring that to a woman, she's got to have a certain level of functionality as well too. And understanding that there's always growth that happens in relationships, you got to be able to provide the growth for her if she's not there yet. And that's a big responsibility, a big asterisk mark if she's not there yet. Not everybody's gonna grow at the pace that you grow, even though people don't always grow at the same pace. It's just a matter of if the other person can keep up. And some people can't keep up, and that's a lot of pressure to put on somebody who's never had that kind of pressure, who's never had a father that they respected from childhood. It's kind of hard for her to know what respect looks like. You get what I'm saying? If her mother's always been disrespectful to men. You get what I'm saying? This is information that you're going to gather to help you make your decision, and not really entirely base it off looks or anything superficial or anything convenient or any physical need that you have in that particular moment. Because first of all, it just, like I said, it really starts with what you're looking for. Every woman is not going to be a wife material type of woman anyways. Doesn't mean that she can't make a good companion. Doesn't mean that she can't make a good partner. Doesn't mean that she can't be, a lover neither. But pedigree matters as well. All you got to do is do your homework. This is important. If you're really serious about the right woman in your life, this is important. This is important. You can't mess this up, even though you can. You can't mess this up, especially if you've got a record of messing things up before. Once you've gotten yourself in a certain position, you don't want to keep messing up by choosing the wrong partners. You don't want to do that anymore. You got to learn how to choose with better metrics. You get what I'm saying? And that all starts with knowing what you want and what you need. Get it? Compromising shouldn't be in the picture. People who compromise often don't really, at the end of the day, feel like, okay, well, I don't deserve it anyways. It's not what you're looking for. Get what you want. Get what you need. And sometimes people are going to say, well, I'm going to get what's most important for me at this particular moment. Yeah, sometimes you can do that. But you better know what you're doing. You better have an exit strategy. Especially if what's most important to you do right now gets you further along your purpose. There'll always be risks involved. So you have to be smart all the time. But just wanted to encourage the fellas, man, if you worked hard, and you're looking for a real good partnership, be patient, man. Be patient. Be patient. It's a strategic dance. It ain't gonna just be anybody who looks good, looks nice, and claims that they want the type of man that you are. You get what I'm saying? A lot of times you'll find that these women don't do much work on finding out who you are, and that's always a red flag. So there's a lot to understand. There's a lot that you should be mindful of when you're going back out there, especially if you took a real good break from relationships to get your shit together. I mean, you should be really proud of yourself, and whatever partnership that you get into, they should understand what you've had to do to be in the position that you are right now, be appreciative of it, and be willing to do some of the same work if necessary to keep up with you. And there's nothing wrong with that. Women always say that they looking for a man with a plan, and whatever the case is, but I don't know that to be exactly true. But when they do meet men with a plan, there's a lot of resistance that often happens. Maybe sometimes it's only in the beginning before she gets with the program or whatever the case is. But you got many women already feeling like their plan and their program is what's most important to them. So that's not who's for you. Plain and simple. You get what I'm saying? It's a whole different ball game. But if her plan aligns with yours, then it's easy for you to incorporate her into your life. But you got to get somebody who's in support of your plan first and foremost, because you don't want to choose nobody who isn't, and you don't want to have to be convincing nobody to be all about what you're about anyways. You want somebody who's with it, and the one who understands your purpose and can see and visualize how your purpose unfolds and who you become as a man, and be okay with that. Because sometimes when you're in the early stages of doing your craft or being who you are, you're nowhere near your peak yet. Can she handle you at your peak, or does she like you right now? You get what I'm saying? Does she prefer you at this pace? You get what I'm saying? These will also be things to consider as you evolve. So you will always have to keep your evolution in mind whenever you're courting or dealing with somebody. And it's not an ego thing, but you've got to really stand up for who you know you're becoming, if you know who that is. And of course, if you don't, that's where you got to get to the work to figure it out. And I do metaphysical coaching to help men figure these things out precisely. Of course, it takes some time, but it's worth the while. And it's not just, advice. It's real metaphysics science to understand yourself, to know yourself, learn how to operate and show up as yourself. So you can get that in the link in the bio or on my website underneath the Work With Me tab. That's hardonbreak.com, of course. Nice talking with you guys. Y'all take it easy. Be careful out there.